Things have definitely been a little more hectic lately with the pandemic and everything. I've seen things starting to clear up a little bit, but if you're following some of the major news going on with like larger corporations and such, you'll see stuff like J.C. Penney's going on the verge of bankruptcy. Now, granted, that's a pretty old and starting to become an outdated business model with having a big retail establishment. But a lot of other small businesses that are still new and visionary businesses are stuck in a lot of that old retail setting. So you might find your lawyers or just accountants, things like that. You're going to find a lot of them are still going to have a physical brick and mortar store. With how things are moving just in general, online is starting to become pretty massive. And of course, if you're not getting in on the action of online, you're missing out on quite a bit. With myself, right before a couple months ago, about 50% of my reselling business's sales were locally. And I was kind of focusing more on getting the local down, which is kind of important for what I have going on, just to boost my revenue and kind of give me a little bit of diversification. So of course, when this hit, I realized that I needed to take action because my local sales were going to dwindle down. And that resulted in me finally taking the leap and getting onto a service that would branch my items out to about 4 or 5, depending on what I want to do, different carriers. And I've had just a tremendous boost in sales just from the fact of people getting stimulus money and just wanting to buy things online and just buy various items, some of them being essential, some of them not essential. But just in general, there's been quite a bit of a surge compared to about last year. I think I'm nearly about 40% more up in sales, which granted I am selling and listing more items just overall in general, but I'm getting a really nice boost from the times going on. So I've kind of shifted a bit of my focus there instead of my videos and things like that. But the importance for me to move and make changes in my business with this time is really important. I think that almost all businesses are going to see some sort of impact just from this virus, especially if you have some sort of travel business or something. It's going to be incredibly hard for you to stay afloat during a time like this. Lots of places are just going to simply go out of business. If you're able to move your presence to online and you're able to keep track of those customers and retain them during this time, and especially if you can offer a new service. If you're trapped in a place where you have no really good outlook, you have something that's really dependent on physical contact, I mean, it could be a time to where you can try to just make groups and little things that are going to help you stay in touch with the customer base that you have. So when things clear up, that at least you'll know that you have something to go back to once things start clearing up a bit. But granted, with how things are going, it's hard to say when exactly that could even be. It might take a significant amount of time. It could be even a year, 2 years. I'm not really sure. But I know within my own business that it's majorly important for me to focus on what the options are right now. And so expanding as much of the online presence as I possibly can is probably the most significant thing that you could do. Of course, if you have something like your own lawyer service or something like that, that's something that's really easy to transfer to online. I'm not sure about the exact legal stipulations and signing documents and things like that, but all of that I'm sure could be a workaround for that, especially if you're a lawyer. I'm sure you could probably figure it out. But say you have some sort of transportation service, taxi service, you could start delivering food instead and transporting food, things like that. That would be an easier way to stay into business and to focus on the circumstances that are currently present and still be a viable business. Things like an accountant are obviously still needed, and if you're able to just transfer your customers online, I know even like the real estate market is a little bit more rough right now. Not a lot of people are looking to buy and sell homes, but you could still do things virtually. You could do virtual tour home or virtual home tours, things like that. There's all sorts of ways that you could start to expand and play around with new ideas that even when this does pass, it's still going to be majorly important for your business, because as we see with just even those older model businesses, you see stuff like GameStop is severely hurting from using its old brick and mortar style stores. Granted, they are moving to an online presence, but it's still becoming a highly crowded market, even for used games, things like that. It's really crowded. So at least they have something to fall back onto, but I don't particularly know anyone who would want to buy anything from JCPenney online. That's a pretty tough sale. So if you're able to move your business and put it into a place where you're able to expand and grow for online, and not only just now, but within the foreseeable future. And if you can't specifically find something that's right within your service, think about what people are currently needing. And people are currently wanting, of course, their basic needs. So if you can, get them food items, like I mentioned with the delivery service, then that's pretty critical right now if you can do that. And especially if you can figure out a way to bring that online, especially by bringing in shipping to your business. I've thought about having a free shipping course that I could make as well too, just in general, so someone who's looking to ship can get the best prices and ship products easily. But I also had mentioned you could take advantage of things like a porch drop-off. So if you have a small business that relies on local customers, start setting it up to where you can just drop stuff off on their porch. And that's going to help make your business really viable during these times. And maybe not online, but if you built that online connection where they can communicate with you, you might even find that having a brick and mortar store isn't as necessary, depending on what you sell, of course. If you're selling, large items, things like that, maybe cars, things like that, it's a little bit more difficult without someone coming in and seeing it in person. But if you were to have like a small health food store, for example, or you had some smaller business like that, you could easily set up something where you could have local customers purchasing your goods online and then just you bringing it right to their door. And that might be something that's even more viable in the future as time goes on. And sorry here, my co-host is kind of wrapping the leash around me here, so I'm kind of having a little bit difficult of a time. But with myself, I'm just going to kind of stick to focusing down on as much online presence as I can possibly build, staying in as much contact with my customers as possible. And I think that would be a wise plan for anyone who's currently running a business or wants to start a business, that really building this online presence and learning from the best online people, of course. I like Gary Vaynerchuk. I have some of his books and such for building social media presence. I have some friends that are heavily into it. I'm not too big into the social media myself, mostly here YouTube if I'm doing anything currently, which obviously I probably should build a little more presence for this, but so far this is what I've got, and it's just kind of practice for me. So let me know down in the comments below what your business is, what you're struggling with, and I'd be happy to maybe give you some ideas and thoughts on a good action plan to take with your business. So thank you. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you found value in this video, and subscribe if you guys don't want to miss out on new content. Thanks, and have a great day.